Hey everyone, hope you're doing well. And my name is Drew Creekmer. I'm the Director of Advisory Services here at Creekmer Wealth. I'm joined as always by John Creekmer, our founder and senior wealth advisor. And John, we're getting here into the heart of the summer, and
Mhm.
crazy how fast the year's going, but we have July 4th coming up. So I know as our Central Illinois locations, we have a big event that we are helping host. Why don't you kind of walk through what that event is, and we'll go from there.
Until about 3 years ago, 4 years ago, the city of Morton, Illinois, where our Central Illinois office is located, they were actually planning a fireworks festival, Independence Day celebration. So we went to the event, and it was kind of a small scale. And I went to the park district director and just said, "Hey, I love that holiday. It's middle of the summertime. I have so many great memories of family." Having a picnic and sitting around listening to good old music and having some fireworks go off, and just a lot of fun growing up. Could we actually blow it up and turn that entire day into a huge celebration? And let's have a couple bands come over. Let's have food trucks. Let's have a lot of kid-friendly games and everything out there. And so we actually sponsored the whole event for the entire community. Last year, it was unbelievable. Over 100,000 people in our small little town, and ended up being a great thing. We're part of another major company, as far as that's owned by a large Fortune 500 company here locally, based in Morton. They actually put on the whole thing this year, so it's a great celebration for all of our families. But it also takes us back to just independence, and the reason why our country was kind of became a country, and kind of the whole story around that.
Yeah. Yeah, that it did. And Johnny, you mentioned the story. One of the big rallying cries, obviously back in the 1700s, was no taxation without representation.
Mhm.
And we wanted to spend some time just talking about taxes. Right now, we're doing a ton of tax planning work for our clients. Tax planning is actually one of the four retirement blueprint pillars that every one of our clients has as part of their retirement income plan. And so, John, what's so important right now about the current tax environment we're in and going into as it relates to overall financial planning?
I think it's critical. It's not, when I think about retirement as a great example. It's not about what your net worth is, and it's not about your gross income. It truly is about your spendable after-tax income. And so, all you can do from tax planning to actually prepare for that period of time is critical as far as success and making sure that you outlive your money. Because if we give away more dollars than what we're legally required to give away to the federal government by just not executing well and not having proper strategy in place, well, then that decreases your probability of being able to live the retirement lifestyle you want to live. And oftentimes I talk to different tax preparers, and they say we need to pay the least amount of taxes today in this given year. Why would you plan for future years when things are going to change? Well, that's called a micro planning strategy. And we believe micro is very important, but not at the expense of macro planning, which says how do we pay the least amount of taxes over our entire lifetime? And so, whenever we kind of look at planning, we want to consider both the micro and the macro, the short term or this year. But the macro says, how do we decrease taxes over time? And there's a lot of different things to look at. But the reason why it's critically important right now is that we know the current Internal Revenue Code, the way that it's written, the tax law, the way it's written, it's actually going to change at the end of 2025. And we're going to revert back to what the tax code was in 2017, which means that rates are going up, brackets are getting squished, so more dollars are getting to higher brackets faster. We know that a number of other changes are happening underneath the surface in the tax law that's going to make it to where if you do nothing at all, you are going to see a significant increase in your taxes. So for the next 18 months, it's a critical time to be doing tax planning.
Yeah, it definitely is. And we're actually going to put a link up here that everyone can access. It'll take you to a landing page to help you actually calculate what your personal retirement tax bill is. Now, John, each and every one of us has a tax bill or just a lifetime tax bill. It's the total sum of the dollars that we will pay in taxes based upon how we have our funds saved over our lifespan. And it's really important to have good data, which we talk about all the time, to help you make decisions as it relates to impacting your overall goals. And so I would encourage you all, go to that landing page. It takes about 30 seconds. And you'll be able to see your personal retirement tax bill next to a potential outcome if you utilize one of the 120 different tax planning strategies that we have. Now, we would definitely tell you all, don't go out and do a massive Roth conversion or make a decision just on that document. But it's a good starting point to really decide, hey, do I have a problem here that needs to be addressed? It's important to have that data. And so, John, when you look at that retirement tax bill and some of those strategies that are out there, what's been your experience walking through those situations with our clients all around the country?
Yeah, I think people are very amazed truly at how much they're actually paying in taxes. I mean, they know what the bill is every April whenever they go, but don't understand why. And as we start to begin to unpack and to walk through trade-offs that they're able to make, they're very surprised at how much they can actually save in their overall taxes. Maybe not in the current year, or maybe in the current year, but definitely over a lifetime by executing various strategies. Simple things like this understanding that all of your investment dollars sit in one of four buckets. The first bucket is taxed always. The second bucket is tax deferred. The third bucket is capital gains tax. And the fourth bucket is taxed never. And so you truly would have an understanding of where is your money invested in those four buckets and what can you do to get more of your dollars to either tax the capital gains or tax the never. And so the number of strategies you can walk through is by doing that. Then we can say, let's pick and choose from year to year on where we pull your money from for income in order to make sure you're paying the least amount of taxes. So one of the key takeaways, most people are paying more in taxes than they should. And the second one is they're definitely going to pay more in taxes than what they should based upon having no overall strategy of how to minimize taxes.
Yeah, absolutely. And so that's where having that data is a good starting point to really recognize, hey, what is your personal situation? What does it look like over your lifetime? John, what's really the next step to really getting a broad based financial tax plan that's unique to each individual's goals?
You had mentioned, Drew, that it's not a standalone decision, right? And so we really have four pillars inside our retirement blueprint. And tax planning is one of those four. The others are an income plan, and a investment plan, and then an estate plan. Well, those four together, we want to make sure that we look at all four of those simultaneously to make sure that all of those individual areas are working hand in hand to where you are accomplishing your goals the most tax efficient way possible when you want to accomplish them. And the problem is, I've seen too many folks that end up making one decision out of one sliver. In other words, they made the best tax decision, but it's a horrible decision for income. Or maybe they're making a great income decision, but it's really a bad decision as far as their investment portfolio. And so you want to make sure that all four of those different pillars are really concerted, they're working together. And so the one thing to recognize is, Drew, is if you've taken your last 3 years' tax returns, along with your investment statement, a detailed story of your family, and then also what are your plans as far as leaving funds whenever you want to pass away, in addition to what those things that are most important to you, your value positions. By having all of that together, we're able to analyze and say, hey, here's some decisions to make on the investment portfolio, give you the income that you want in the most tax efficient way possible, all the time considering how do these assets transition to the next generation. The reality is, Drew, bringing it together makes it much more concerted for you to actually accomplish your goals and to do it in a time frame that makes sense and everything's working together. So bringing it together is really the number one thing you want to do.
Yeah, absolutely. And John, we have a great team of certified financial planners that's what they do every single day for our clients is make the complex simple, make sure everything's working together cohesively. And so if you haven't had an update to your retirement income plan in a while, or maybe you don't even have one, we would strongly encourage you to reach out to your wealth advisor and have that conversation so we can bring in Clark Randall, who's our director of financial planning, and his team to take a look at each one of those pillars for you, and especially the tax pillar right now, because that 18-month window of time to make sure all those pieces are working together cohesively. So, John, we've covered some great ground here and have a good number of action items. What's the one takeaway that you want people to have?
It all begins and ends with the plan. And so, folks, if you do not have a plan in place, you're kind of leaving your future up to happen chance. And the reality is that's not a good way to navigate life. And so you want to invest the time, and not a ton of time, but invest the time working with specialized experts that have the technical training, the academical rigor, and then the ongoing processes to put in place to make sure you're making the most wise decisions that give you the clearest path to accomplish the goals. Drew, it all begins and ends with a plan. It's best to create the plan with the proper people, and that's the folks at Creamer Wealth Advisors.
Yeah, absolutely. So if we said something today that sparked a question for you, or maybe you just say, hey, I need to update my plan, reach out to our team. We're standing by and ready to help in any way that we can. And hopefully we'll see some of you here in Central Illinois at the 4th of July celebration on July 3rd in Morton, Illinois. And otherwise, guys, appreciate the time. We'll talk to you soon.